Congressman Eugene Vindman represents the 7th District in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This week we learned that he is one of the lucky recipients of what a non-lawyer might call a nastygram and what a lawyer might call a threat from Donald Trump's hand-picked U.S. attorney, top federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. Congressman Vindman is one of at least 3 serving Democratic members of Congress who has received a typo-ridden, legally incoherent, frankly bizarre, threatening letter like this from Ed Martin in the U.S. Attorney's Office. The Washington Post reports that this letter to Eugene Vindman is one of about 20 such letters that U.S. Attorney Ed Martin is believed to have sent. Congressman Eugene Vindman, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. I really appreciate you making the time.
Rachel, thanks for having me. I call this a Dear Eugene letter, and I hope you having me on doesn't mean you're going to be the next recipient.
Well, you know, I wonder actually who has received them and how many really have gone out. I was very surprised after you went public with this week to see the Washington Post reporting that sources familiar with the matter say that he sent out about 20 of these. We know he's done it to Chuck Schumer in the Senate. We know he's done to Congressman Robert Garcia and to you in the House. I don't know who the other 17 are. I don't know if people are going to go public with them. I also wonder if he's just so poorly executed these threats that maybe he sent them to wrong addresses. I mean, the letter that he sent to you looks like it was written in crayon. I have to ask how you reacted to it when you first opened it up and saw what it was.
Well, Rachel, when I first got the letter, I thought some unhinged individual got a hold of the letterhead and was just sending a letter riddled with falsehoods and legally nonsensical things to me. I didn't realize it was serious until we had phone calls from the office. And I mean, it seems like they've hired a bunch of chuckleheads, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to weaponize government. We've seen this in the intimidation firings of other civil servants, folks that live in my district, like FBI agents and DOJ agents. It's filled with lies. And the bottom line is it's an attempt to silence and intimidate, and it's just not going to work. It didn't work in 2019. It's not going to work now.
When you say that you've had calls following up on this, are these calls from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington? Who's calling you, and what are they demanding, or what are they asking of you?
Well, one of the minions in that office called several times and was very insistent that this is a top priority for DOJ. We said, okay, hold your horses, buddy. We'll respond to you in due course. I was frankly busy with the activities of a representative and sitting in hearings and things like that. And we did respond because ultimately I take this seriously, not in that it has anything substantive in it, but it's actually an attempt to weaponize government. And that I have a major problem with. And as a member of Congress and very much in line with what my colleague Jamie Raskin did, we have an oversight role. And so we cannot allow this administration to intimidate and try to silence critics, to silence FBI agents and law enforcement. And we must be forcefully pushing back against it.
I think Americans of all stripes are concerned about the dynamic that you're talking about, using the power of the criminal law, using things like the power of the IRS, using powers of the government writ large to go after the kinds of enemies list that President Trump, frankly, rattled through at what was supposed to be a policy speech today at the U.S. Justice Department before it dissolved into an airing of grievances and what appeared to be directives to Justice Department personnel in the room that they should go after individually named people and organizations who the president rattled off from the podium today. A lot of Americans, I think, are concerned about where this is now and how much worse it could get. Do you think that Congress has a specific role, has a list of things that can be done to try to push back and curtail the way they see the government as their weapon against their enemies?
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, we obviously have an oversight role in our committees, and so we asked tough questions for folks that appear from the administration about why they're doing things. I've asked those very same tough questions of the Department of Defense. I sit on the House Armed Services Committee about why they fired the chairman, several senior flag and general officers, and all of the uniformed lawyers. So Mr. Raskin was asking those same questions in the judiciary about folks that work in the justice sector. And what we can't do is we can't sit back. We can't let them, have this space and intimidate and silence hardworking civil servants. I spoke to an attorney that is working in civil society, and she responded very vigorously to white supremacists and skinheads. And if we're going to have attorneys, a black woman in civil society that stand firm against skinheads and neo-Nazis, then it's incumbent on those of us that have sworn an oath to the Constitution to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, to do at least that.
Virginia Congressman Eugene Vindman, a man who's proven over and over again that he can't be intimidated. Thank you so much for your time tonight, sir. I know that you're not intimidated by this. I know that you're saying it won't work, but I'm still sorry that this happened to you. Keep us surprised, sir. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, more news ahead tonight. Stay with us.